Did you see that? That was awesome. I mean, World of Warcraft aside, that was a beautiful cinematic. And it looks like Khadgar was right. Gul'dan was going to cause some trouble for us, and it looks like he found Illidan. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what that whole thing's about. Alright, so that was the teaser trailer. Let me bring up the actual trailer.
On Draenor, old rivals sought to bring Azeroth to its knees. And while the Iron Tide was quelled, they were but servants of a more ancient foe that has not forgotten our defiance. The vengeance of the Burning Shadow has come. And in our most desperate hour, we must wield the power of the enemy against them. For we stand once more upon the brink of destruction. The Burning Legion has returned.
Man, I know I'm excited. Legion looks like it will be so much fun, but I have so many questions now after watching that unveiling. For those who did not watch the live stream, I've linked it in the description below, as well as the 2 trailers shown at the beginning of this video. Alright, so let's get into some lore. But before we start, I do want to note, I'm going to go over a lot of things in this video that I've not talked about before. So a lot of characters and themes and just things in general. So I would like to make a video on those things in the future, so be on the lookout for those. So, in Legion, it looks like the Burning Legion is coming to Azeroth, and they are trying to get Sargeras here, and it is up to us to stop them. For those of you who are unfamiliar with WoW lore, you may be wondering who Sargeras is. Well, Sargeras was once a Titan. Actually, he was one of the strongest Titans at the time. The Titans were the ones who shaped Azeroth and made it as it is today. The Titans traveled across the cosmos searching for worlds they could bring order to. They were led by the Pantheon, the strongest of the Titan race. As the Titans traveled from world to world, they came across many different evil demons. The Pantheon charged Sargeras to guard over these demons. Eventually, Sargeras began to lose faith in the plan of the Titans, which was to bring order to all these worlds in chaos. He felt that bringing order to the worlds was not the Titans' purpose. Instead, he began to think that maybe the universe and everything in it should be left in chaos. And as he descended into his madness, he freed all of the demons he had enslaved over time. And as he freed them, he forced them to swear their allegiance to him, and thus the Burning Legion was created. So the next question is, why does the Burning Legion hate Azeroth so much? Well, first of all, they don't just hate Azeroth. They hate every planet that the Titans have touched, and they hate anything that is not in utter chaos. Now, the Burning Legion does actually have a particular hatred for Azeroth. This is because Azeroth is the only known planet to have prevented multiple Burning Legion invasions. We have stopped them so many times that now it's personal for them. So the first time the Legion tried invading Azeroth was during the War of the Ancients. Once the Titans had completed their work on Azeroth, they left, and when they did, it is believed that they left the very powerful Well of Eternity. The Well of Eternity granted the trolls who had settled around it great powers, and they eventually became the Kaldorei, or the Night Elves. Ajara was a powerful sorceress and queen of the Kaldorei. She was contacted by Sargeras with promises of power and the destruction of those deemed unworthy. Ajara was thrilled by this idea, and her highborn viewed the Kaldorei as being beneath them. Ajara and her highborn began using the well itself as a portal for Sargeras to enter. As the demons of the Legion began invading, a resistance was formed and led by Malfurion Stormrage and Tyrande Whisperwind. Malfurion was the first druid of the Kaldorei, and Tyrande was a priestess. Now, Malfurion's brother Illidan, who we actually see in the first cinematic, actually helped them out as well. Although Illidan had helped them out, he did not wish to see the Well of Eternity destroyed, as he was addicted to the magic within. So as Malfurion and the Resistance fought their way into the temple, Illidan had actually abandoned them and warned Ajara of their plans. For this, he was given a gift by Sargeras himself. His eyes were burned out, granting him enhanced sight. And although he had aided Ajara, he did not wish for them to actually win. He simply wanted the power within the Well of Eternity for himself. As the battle within the temple raged, Malfurion and his followers eventually realized that the only way to end the invasion was to destroy the Well of Eternity. And so they did. They disrupted Ajara and her highborn spell, causing the Well of Eternity to implode. This ended the Legion's first invasion. The second time, Sargeras actually used the orcs to try and destroy Azeroth. While this wasn't an invasion by the Legion itself, it was still orchestrated by Sargeras. A portal was opened to Azeroth from the orcish homeworld of Draenor. The orcs began their war once they entered, beginning the First War. The kingdom of Stormwind eventually fell, forcing its inhabitants to flee across the sea. Once there, they created the Alliance of Lordaeron and went on the offensive. After many years of conflict, the Alliance was finally successful in ending the war, thus halting the Legion's plan and ending the Second War. The third time the Legion invaded was actually during the Third War. The Legion had used the Lich King and the Scourge to weaken Azeroth before their invasion, which they did successfully. The Legion then swarmed Nordrassil, the World Tree, and Archimonde, desiring to consume the power of the World Tree, began his fateful ascent up the tree. But the forces of Azeroth had slowed him down enough and gave Malfurion enough time to prepare. And as Archimonde reached the top of the tree and began siphoning its power, Malfurion blew the horn of Cenarius, and the wisps and spirits of Azeroth swarmed him and exploded, destroying him and the tree. The fourth invasion began with the reopening of the Dark Portal during the Burning Crusade by Doomlord Kha'Zix, but we stormed the Dark Portal and we thwarted the Legion's plans yet again. Also during the Burning Crusade, we prevented Kil'jaeden from entering Azeroth through the Sunwell, again stopping the Legion. Finally, during Warlords of Draenor, we prevented a Legion invasion of Draenor. So needless to say, the Legion is pretty much done with being slapped around by us. So this brings us to the next question. What is the Tomb of Sargeras? Well, the Tomb of Sargeras is the Tomb of Sargeras. I know, pretty obvious. But at some point in time, the avatar of Sargeras walked the cold lands of Northrend. Aegwynn, the guardian of Azeroth at that time, battled the avatar and defeated it. His body was placed in a tomb on the Broken Isles. Many have ventured there throughout Azeroth's history, including Gul'dan and Illidan. The tomb holds great power, and it seems that the tomb is now being used by the Legion for their invasion. Alright, so who is Illidan? Illidan, as mentioned before, was once a Night Elf sorcerer who eventually became the first demon hunter. He has a very long story, and I actually hope at one point to be able to create a video on that. But for now, just know this, that Illidan was extremely powerful, and at one time he worked for the Legion. He was hired by the Legion to defeat the Lich King, but he failed on his mission and set up shop in the Black Temple on Outland. Eventually, we stormed the Black Temple, and with the help of Akama and Maieve's Shadow Song, defeated Illidan. But according to the Blizzard website, Maiev actually took Illidan's body with her, and this is how Gul'dan finds his body in the cinematic. So what are demon hunters? Demon hunters are very powerful warriors who actually use a demon's power against them. Demons use fel magic, which is magic in its purest form. It is extremely easy to wield, but extremely destructive and addicting. In World of Warcraft, there have only been a few named demon hunters, with Illidan being the most popular. Most of them have been killed off, either by us or by other means. According to the information we received at Gamescom, it seems like the demon hunters we will play are a group that was sent on a suicide mission by Illidan. We will be venturing to the prison where Sargeras actually placed the demons he found before he fell into his madness. So in addition to getting information on demon hunters and the Burning Legion, it looks like we're actually going to get some information on some of the big lore characters in World of Warcraft, specifically Sylvanas, Gin Greymane, and Anduin. Each of them have received a model update, so I would expect that they're going to play a decent-sized part in the story. Alright, so let's look into who these characters are, starting with Anduin. Anduin is actually the Prince of Stormwind. His father is Varian Wrynn, the current king of Stormwind. His mother was killed when he was young, and since he was a child, he and his father have been clashing on views. Anduin prefers diplomacy, forgiveness, while Varian values action and was a bit of a hothead. But since then, Varian has cooled down a bit and has taken a more cautious approach to things. Anduin, unlike his father, is a priest, and a very powerful one at that. He trained under Velen and has actually raised Varian from the dead, which is a lot more difficult than the gameplay would have you believe. Based off the information we received at Gamescom, it definitely feels like Anduin will be replacing his father really soon. I mean, he has a shiny new model, really nice hair, and we know that something happens to Varian at some point because in Velen's vision of the Army of the Light, Anduin is leading, not Varian. Moving on now from Anduin to Sylvanas. Sylvanas was once the Ranger General of Silvermoon and defended it from Arthas and the Scourge. Although she put up a valiant fight, she was eventually killed by Arthas. But rather than letting her die, Arthas turned her into a banshee. Eventually she was freed from Arthas' control and regained her body. She and the undead that were freed from the Lich King's control became the Forsaken. And while they are in the Horde, Sylvanas has made it clear she cares more about her people than she does about the Horde. After the Lich King had been defeated, Sylvanas, feeling that her job was done, attempted to kill herself. And as she did so, she found that she was actually in hell. There she saw Arthas as a little boy running around in horror, and Sylvanas was in horror. And as she screamed and was tormented in this dark, a Valkyr appeared to her. Anhild the Caller offered her a pact. Should Sylvanas set them free from the Lich King's control and become their new master, Anhild would save her from hell. Sylvanas, not wanting to stay here, accepted the offer. The Valkyr took her place, and Sylvanas was sent back, finding that only 8 Valkyr remained. Fast forward to Cataclysm. Garrosh wants Sylvanas and her Forsaken to invade the kingdom of Gilneas. So they begin their assault and are pretty successful at first. The Gilneans, who have become Worgens, fight back and cause some trouble for the Forsaken. At one point, Sylvanas is killed by one of the Gilnean defectors. This time, it took 3 of her Valkyr to bring her back to life. Now Sylvanas is down to just a few Valkyr, and will do whatever she has to do to prevent herself from going to hell. According to the Blizzard webpage, Sylvanas, in search of a way to extend her life, will have to make some tough choices as she decides if she loves her people or herself more. So next, let's talk about Gin Greymane. Gin Greymane is the king of the Gilneans, who is actually a worgen himself. Gilneas initially joined the Alliance of Lordaeron to help push the Orcish horde back, and they were successful. Once the war was over, Gen voted that the orcs be executed for their crimes, but he was overruled by the other members who voted to place the orcs in internment camps. At this point, Gen wanted nothing more to do with the Alliance. He felt his people could take care of themselves, and the cost of keeping the orcs in the camps was just far too much of a burden on his people. So, Gilneas left the Alliance and became isolationists, building an enormous wall around their city. Once the Cataclysm hit, the Great Wall the Gilneans had built was destroyed. This allowed the Forsaken to invade the city. Gen and the Gilneans put up a valiant resistance, but soon they had to abandon Gilneas. Gen was afflicted with the Worgen curse like so many of the other Gilneans. He soon reached out to King Varian Wren of the Alliance for aid. Initially, Varian was against aiding Gen due to the fact that Gen had abandoned the Alliance in the past. But soon Varian forgave Gen and the Gilneans, and they entered the Alliance. Since then, Gen has been an advisor to Varian, helping him run the Alliance in Stormwind. Alright everybody, I hope you have enjoyed my video. I am very excited to see what Legion will bring us as we wait for more information to be released. As always, please leave your thoughts or questions below. Specifically, let me know what part of Legion you are looking forward to the most. Thank you so much for watching my video, and until next time, this is Karthus of the Goblin Gazette, signing off.